So you went on a podcast where they had another guest that was going to grill you.
Yeah. Someone had really betrayed me. Someone who I thought was a good friend, somebody I trusted. It really upset me. Know where it came from or how it happened. Thousands of comments in our live videos, all negative, all derogatory, attacks on our own followers. And so then I got really upset and I made that video. And my whole team was counting on me to make a good response video. My wife and my kid were counting on me to make a good response video. And I failed. I didn't make a good video. So, Dr. Amen, thank you for spending this time with me today. I know you have a very busy schedule and you see a lot of patients. You have clinics, the Amen clinics all over the country. And so it's a special honor to be here with you today to spend some time to talk about triggers and how to deal with them. So we flew out here from Florida in the midst of all the craziness going on here in California. First of all, how are you doing with this situation?
It's terrible.
Yeah, I know.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I have a clinic in Encino, which is sort of right near where the fires are. We've had to close the clinic. We have team members that have been evacuated, friends who've lost their homes.
Goodness.
It's just
it's horrible.
apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And, but you have to move on.
Yeah.
Right? So take care of what you can take care of. Right? During the pandemic, I prayed the serenity prayer over and over.
Prayer,
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Yeah, exactly.
The wind.
Yeah.
The courage to change the things I can. I can evacuate when people tell me to go. I don't need to be a hero. And the wisdom to know the difference.
Correct.
Right? And so many people are going to end up with PTSD from this.
Yeah.
But it's what I learned. I was an Army psychiatrist for 7 years. The thing I learned, it's the brain you bring into the trauma that often determines how you deal with the trauma. So if there's past trauma, and you and I have talked, you've been on my show, you grew up in a fair amount of chaos, right?
Yeah.
So it's the brain you bring into it that you need to heal, so when new things come up, as they do for everybody, they don't overwhelm you.
Right, exactly. And before we get into this, by the way, if you have any kind of fund or anything you set up, just let us know. We at Forbidden Knowledge, my wife and I, we're more than happy to contribute and help out any way we can.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, I went through a situation recently where I felt kind of ambushed. I didn't feel like it was a situation that was properly set up for me to appear in. I didn't show up as my best self. I was sick. I had just gotten over pneumonia. I was in pneumonia state still. I was still in the healing process. I had just gotten released from the hospital. I had a near-death experience. And I felt like someone took advantage of me and took advantage of the situation. And they put me in a situation where I was very uncomfortable, I wasn't sharp, and I wasn't my best. And in that situation, I felt manipulated, and I felt like someone had really betrayed me. Someone who I thought was a good friend, somebody I trusted, that I trusted my kids around in their house. And his kid would come to my house. My son and his son are best friends. And for that to happen, it really upset me. More than the anger, it was the betrayal that completely shocked me. I didn't know where it came from or how it happened. And I found myself replaying every communication we've had, every instance where we had conversations or where we were supposed to interact with each other, or text messages or phone calls to find like, what did I do wrong? I was trying to figure out like, what could I have possibly done to this person to get them in a situation where they felt it was okay to do this to me. So that hurt the most.
Somebody invited you on their podcast?
Yeah.
And there you felt ambushed?
Yes. I felt ambushed. I wasn't given a full scope of what was going on. A person that was to be on that had been, I guess, watching a lot of my content over the years and made a lot of videos going against some of my personal spiritual beliefs, which is okay. It's fine. There's nothing against that. But the person that invited me over knew all about that. They knew that this person pretty much had it in for me.
So you went on a podcast where they had another guest that was going to grill you.
Yeah, going to grill me.
And you show up.
I showed up.
And
I tried to maintain calm and peace. I tried to be respectful. I didn't snap in this situation, to be honest with you. I kind of was a little bit in shock, and I was trying to get my word in. But the way it was being run, it wasn't a fair conversation. I felt like I was being overrun. I felt like my voice hadn't been heard, and that every time I did have something important to say, the person on the other end would have a technical difficulty. And after it happened like 5 times, I got really frustrated, and I walked out of this situation. I gave my do not consent. I said, this is not professional. Like everything that I'm in is like this, with you and me. It's like very professional. And I felt like it didn't show me in my best light, or even the house that I went to, even in their best light. It was just so scattered and chaotic. And the person agreed, okay, yeah, no problem. But then the person decided anyway to release this footage. So it shocked me, because when you go man to man with somebody and you have a conversation and you shake hands, like we used to do in the old days, it's like your bond is your word. Your word is your bond. And in this case, it wasn't. And that really shocked me. It wasn't so much as that the content was released, it was the betrayal and the broken agreement that really hurt me to my core. So that, of course, triggered me. I tried to maintain a certain level of cool. I tried to stay the professional route. I wrote up a do not consent form, and I went to his house. Now, it was 2 a.m. when I went there, because that's when the footage was out. He lives around the corner from me. So I literally went boom, boom, right around the corner. It wasn't like I drove through the night through a rainstorm and a snowstorm. They try to make it look like that online. But often his kids sometimes even spent the night at our house. He's right around the corner. I drove there because I was still weak and recovering from the pneumonia, although I could have walked there in 2 minutes. I rang the doorbell, and nobody answered the door. I had a piece of paper in my hand that said, look, I don't consent to this video. And nobody came to the door. Now, often we would talk at that time of the morning. So it wasn't a shock that I would talk to him or show up at this time, because that's the time that we had conversations, middle of the night. He flies all over the place, I fly all over the place all the time. It seems like that time of the night or morning, we're always available to have a conversation via text. So I thought, no big deal. I'll just ring the doorbell. He'll probably come to the door and we can talk this out. I recorded myself at the door, thankfully, because more betrayal, which led me to believe that this person was really a part of this, is that he made a video saying, I was banging on the door and I scared his daughters. And I'm going, wow, that really adds it's like stabbing somebody with a butter knife. The video of me being there was released at the door. He released the ring door footage. I ring the doorbell one time and walk away. Get in my car, and you see the lights come on, and I pull off. So, just the scenario of events, I started to feel really angry. And then I was still willing to kind of let it go, whatever. But then when all these threats start coming in.
Threats?
For whatever reason, their fans seem to be very aggressive. So they start calling me racial slurs, calling my wife racial slurs, and all kind of derogatory names referring to prostitution, so forth and so on. commenting under our son's posts on social media negatively. And then all the death threats started coming in. To be very abrasive, very descriptive on how they were going to do it, how they were going to kill me, how they were going to injure me and crush my face on the curb and all these crazy things. And so
there's a term for this. It's called mobbing.
Yeah.
So we were mobbed.
That definitely was mobbing. Thousands of comments in our live videos, all negative, all derogatory, attacks on our own followers. Every time that somebody would comment something to us positive, they would reply to that person with something negative. And to be honest, I had been through so much in my life, I felt like I could probably take this. You know, I had gotten attacked by another group before in the past, a different kind of group. It was dealing with the shape of the earth. But when I saw that it was really affecting my wife and my son, and the fact that he's now got to be deleted from online, and he was building his own podcast, and and my wife has to see all these death threats, which I could see are really affecting her. It got me really angry. So I wanted to make a response video to this whole situation. And my goal behind it was to explain myself and explain what was going on. But when I got online, something in my brain clicked. And I wasn't the normal Billy. I wasn't the peaceful, calm, zen Billy. Now, I wasn't cursing and screaming because that's not me either. But I was making a lot of pompous statements. I was kind of boasting and bragging because, like, for example, one of the gentlemen, I found out he lives or was at least at one point living on his mom's couch. So I was bragging about I'm in this nice big house and this guy's on a couch, and some of the people had attacked us. I said they're just dumb, poor people, and it's not that I really meant that. I felt like, you ever get so angry that there's nothing you can do to get the anger out. There's nobody you can grab. There's nobody you can yell at. You can't because they're so far, they're spread out. You can't get in anybody's face. And so the only form of attack I had was my own mouth. And so I used it in a very boastful and pompous way. And it didn't go off too good with a lot of the people that know me, know who I am, that fell in love with forbidden knowledge of my work. So it just didn't go over too well. The video was up for a couple of days.
How far after the podcast is this that you posted the video?
This probably was maybe 3 or 4 days after it went out. This whole process took over a month before it actually was online. It was agreed that this wasn't supposed to even come out, and then a small amount of it came out, and I said, I'll just let it slide, whatever. He's making some kind of weird video about why he couldn't release his video. I said, okay, whatever. But then the full one came out. Then he took it down. We contacted his wife. She was very upset because his wife and my wife are really good friends, like almost best friends. They're born on the same day. And she was very upset. He took it down, but then he gave it to somebody else to release. And that person gave it to somebody else and gave, And then it made mainstream. It was like all viral. It was everywhere. And so then I got really upset, and I made that video. And my whole team was counting on me to make a good response video. My wife and my kid were counting on me to make a good response video, and I failed. I didn't make a good video.
Did they see it before it went out?
It was live.
Oh.
It was live. Yeah. So, in hindsight, I would have done a pre-recorded and had it looked at, but I went live on YouTube, and, and I was pretty upset.
When you're just coming out of being sick.
Yeah.
Not thinking at your best, and highly charged.
Yeah.
Generally, your brain's not going to make the best forward-thinking decision.
Yeah.
Because you're in a fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And you're in a fight mode because you feel betrayed.
Yeah, I was really feeling attacked. So, we took the video down, but by then, obviously, everybody already copied it and made clips out of it and edited it in ways that made it look even worse than what it really was, to make it sound like I was being more general to the world, not just to the people that had attacked me. And the fact that the people that were using this content and putting it out really had skewed a lot of the truth and made some statements I don't personally feel were accurate. And so, I'm trying to find, first of all, I know that one way to handle this would have been just to wait and take some time. But when you're triggered that deep and that hard, and you're feeling that attacked to where you now have to, we hired another full-time bodyguard, another armed guard for protection. And pressure on, every time your kid now leaves the house, you got to wonder, is he going to be okay? Is somebody going to do something? They were talking about trying to come to our house and try to get through our gate. But one of the guys, the main guy, lives in the gate, so he can let anyone in the gate if they call him first. So we had to go file reports and police reports, and we had to contact the FBI. And then some people showed up at our office, which is a public address, obviously, but what if I was there,
Did they show up threatening?
They didn't leave any threats, but they did show up, yeah.
Yeah. I've had 3 death threats.
Oh, yeah.
I have experience with the FBI.
Yeah, it's real.
The Newport Beach Police Department. And, it's no fun.
No, it's not fun.
It's not fun.
And I'm trying to find, what in my past could be linked to this trauma that not only, of course, responding to it, getting frustrated with this situation, but I feel maybe it's even deeper than that.
What else should I know?
Well, it's putting a lot of pressure on my relationship. I know Elizabeth is, she's a tiger and she's, a dragon too. So, but at the same time, it's a lot, it wears on her as well. It's a lot of pressure trying to navigate this situation and the pressure and all the negative comments. We have people working the comments, but you're still going to see some of them. And a lot of the negativity and that, that it brought the company and everything else. So, and she's the director of operations, so that puts a lot of pressure on her shoulders.
Has it impacted your business?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. So tell me now, when you think about that situation, what are you thinking and what are you feeling?
Right now, I thought I was getting to the point where I was feeling a little bit more clear because it's starting to really die down. Although some new podcasts had popped up recently, some big podcasts, and this guy is telling these stories on there that just are not accurate. But so until that happened, I was really just processing and getting through with my body. But now I still feel a little bit more triggered again that other people are entertaining without question, without researching, without looking into anything, this particular side of a story and giving it popularity, which I just don't think is fair, especially when somebody uses your name for in every single thing they do to catapult
So
themselves.
do me a favor, close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And just go through this situation in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And just, what are you thinking and what are you feeling?
I'm thinking really about the guy that I thought was my friend, why he would, I'm still questioning. I just keep saying why.
So betrayal.
Betrayal, yeah.
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 And now I want you to go back in time
Mm-hmm.
to the first time you felt this sense of rage,
Mm-hmm.
panic, betrayal. Because that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing rage, panic, because it's like a public shaming.
Yeah.
With forethought, and betrayal. If you just allow your mind to go on a train and go back in time to the first time you ever had that kind of thought or feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would be going all the way back to Miami with my father. He accused me of stealing something from his room, which was a cookie, sounds crazy.
You were how old?
I was 9. A rotten cookie. It was an old Oreo cookie that was, I guess there were probably 5 or 6 in a small package, and there was one left. It was on his windowsill for probably weeks. The sun was beating on it and everything. It probably got eaten or thrown out in the garbage by somebody, I don't know. But he kept, then he went through every single one of my siblings and myself, and we tried to tell him, like, we didn't eat this cookie. But he said, it's your fault that this cookie is gone, and it sounds so silly now, but he kicked us out of the house for that. So we had to go out in the front yard. And I had to sleep on the floor. And my mother, nobody supported me. Nobody said, hey, this is not right. You can't kick kids out in the middle of the night and have them sleeping in the front yard over a cookie. So we slept outside in the street, That's the first time I think I felt really betrayed then, because it's like, how do you kick a kid out of the house with younger brothers and sisters, and you guys got to sleep in? And we're in the hood. I had to take a pillow and blanket outside, and we slept outside.
What's going on with your dad that he acted like that?
He's gone now, but just drugs, alcohol, very toxic. My mother and father had a very toxic relationship. I don't know why they even stayed together all that time. It didn't make any sense to me, really. But it was a bad situation, I mean, the thing that made me want to move out when I was 16 was he put a gun to my head, because he wanted more money for rent. And I told him, I already paid you the money that I agreed to pay for rent. And he spent it probably on drugs or alcohol. And so he pulled a gun out and put it to my head. And that's when I moved out.
Wow. It's got to be a lot of rage at your dad.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was tough. That was real tough.
Were you ever close to him?
Only at certain times when he was sober, which was very fleeting. There'd be certain times for some reason, I don't know what it was. He would go a few weeks. He'd come home. Sometimes he'd be gone for months. Then he'd be home for a few weeks, and he'd be okay. He'd be nice and calm, and he wasn't abusive, but he was physically abusive and also mentally abusive. But there'd been some small windows, where, for whatever reason, he was acting like a normal person. But then that wouldn't last too long.
And did he ever clean up before he died?
No. He died. He went to a concert in Palm Bay, Florida, and he actually wasn't doing anything. He was normal, but someone called in. He was dancing in the front row of this concert that he got invited to by his neighbor. And unfortunately, somebody called 911 and said that there was a black vagrant harassing people in the front row. Why they did this? It's a prank, or nobody really knows why. Jealousy, nobody knows. And the cops came and they beat him. They gave him a double concussion. He was 74 at the time, and they broke his back. And his spine never healed properly. He went to 3 times the amount of alcohol he was drinking, and then he started using heroin. And his back was in so much pain, he went back to the hospital. He had his neighbor take him, the same neighbor I think it was, took him back to the hospital. And at the hospital, they didn't give him anything for the alcoholic abuse and the drugs. And he went into a cascade seizure and erased his brain. And because I'm the oldest, I had to make the choice to pull the plug after I sent his body around to get many more scans, MRIs and stuff, and to see if there's any kind of brain activity at all. And when we found out from the third one that there wasn't, then I had to make the choice. And I had to make the choice years prior for my mom. I had to have, she died from ALS. And she was brain dead in the same ICU, one room over. And I had to make that decision as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're also betrayed by the police. And
yeah.
How they killed him.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So this situation is on a mountain of stress, right? I mean, your story is so inspiring because despite all the crap that happened to you, you've been able to do really amazing things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the stress didn't leave a significant imprint on your brain, and when you feel betrayed in the present, it can roar back.
Yeah.
And so the process is healing. It's like, okay, let me deal with that.
Yeah.
Let me deal with the current situation, probably by not making it worse. Right?
Yeah.
These things have a life cycle.
Right.
And they die. And the people who love you will love you. And the people who are on the fence will leave. And then more people will take their place. Because you do great work.
Thank you.
And the trick in the moment is not to say anything.
Right.
And if you've said stuff and make it worse, the trick is to just give it some space to breathe. And then address it like we're doing now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the brain you bring in to that,
Right.
which was sick, which is on antibiotics, which you said, can't gloss over this, you had a near-death experience, right? If I remember right, you were in Turkey taking people on a trip, and then you got deathly ill.
Almost didn't make it back to the United States. Yeah.
God, and so a lot of people don't know, once you get pneumonia, you get decreased oxygenation to your brain. You're not thinking like you typically would think. So if you're being set up, sounds like it, maybe for even clicks,
Clickbait, clout chasing.
So many of the celebrities I see, worldwide fame. And periods of worldwide shame.
Right.
And and the trick with the shame is don't make it worse.
Right.
It's like, don't make it worse. And if you do make it worse, let it breathe and it'll air out.
Yeah.
And you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, too many people go into a dark hole and then start medicating it that helps them feel better now, but not later. You want to feel better now and later. And talking about it, EMDR could be really helpful for you. It's a specific psychological treatment for trauma. There's also another treatment I love, simple, called havening. It was developed by Ron Rudin. He's a physician, internist in New York, and he found that whenever you get triggered, do bilateral hemisphere stimulation, which of all things is this or this. I have an NBA player I love, and no technical fouls this year.
Wow.
If he gets really upset, you see him on the bench doing this. Or my favorite is just grab your shoulders and stroke down. And so I have you think of this situation, how furious you are and how betrayed you feel and how it goes back to people who were irrational, who should have been better with you, right? Think of your dad. He should not make you sleep out in the middle of the street over a stupid cookie, right? It's go into the feeling and then do the havening. And do the havening for, 20 seconds. And then take your brain to somewhere in the world you love. And just keep doing the bilateral stimulation. And people go on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is no feeling at all. 10 is rage. They go from 10 to 2 or 10 to 0 in like 4 or 5 minutes.
Wow.
Of just doing the body. Because it just settles your brain down. So your good brain, your competent brain, your executive brain just gets control back rather than the fight or flight brain that took over for that period of time. And I think with Elizabeth, you just have to be a really good listener because she loves you. And she loves your work together. She's smart. It's like not posting anything unless we talk about it.
Right.
It's like, let me apologize. Let's let this thing breathe so the stench can sort of go away. little bit like the fires here in LA. It's
Right.
let
it clear out.
Let it clear out, heal, deal with that, and learn from it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's your friend.
Yeah.
I have, had a very public fight with NPR because it just misrepresented me.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying stuff that I didn't say.
Wow.
But whenever
hurts.
you're pushing the envelope,
Yeah.
people generally don't say thank you.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Right? If you're going to be a disruptor, you just got to wait for the arrows are coming.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I'll be much better prepared the next time for any arrows that show up because I'm.
Well, and this
take some
person
space.
is not your friend,
Yeah,
right? And that's the betrayal.
yeah. It's like I said, it's not even so much as what the other people did, to be quite honest, because it's like, okay, when a shark sees blood in the water, it's going to attack. That's fine. I can accept the shark as a shark. But the person that betrayed me, I didn't see them as a shark. And that's what really hurts the most. It's just this, I can't really, I saw this guy the other night at our restaurant that we go to, and it's inside of our community. So it's going to bound to bump into this guy every now and then. And he's just sitting there, and I'm going, how can this guy just sit there and know that he put my family in such a bad situation? How can he sit there and eat a meal, That just got me even more frustrated and more angry. It's like, how? How can somebody even do something like that? Because I would never do something like that, not in a million years. And so I can't wrap my brain around.
But you and I would agree that there's evil.
Yeah, there's definitely evil in the world. Yeah.
And I don't know him, so I don't know his blind spots. I don't know his motivation.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. That's the part I got to get
But
away
it
from.
happens, though. It happens a lot, right?
It
People who
happens.
are married have affairs on
Yeah.
each other and devastate each other.
Yeah.
Humans are complicated. Brains are fascinating, but they're complicated. And then if you add illness on top of that, you had a near-death experience on that. And you said something interesting to me. It's you sort of lost your fear of death.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, when I was in the hospital, that first night when they put the heart monitors on and the oxygen and everything in my nose and and all the IV bags, excuse me, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, I was in another place. And this place was so tranquil and so peaceful. It was like an explorer's dream. It was jungles and terrain and mountains and hills, and I was like, this is crazy. I know my eyes are closed, but my eyes are open, and I'm in no pain. And then I forced my eyes open, and I was back in my body, and I was in pain. And I looked to my left, and I saw Elizabeth laying on this recliner that she was spending the night in the hospital with me. I forced my eyes closed again, and I was there again. And then I forced my eyes open again, and I was back. And the third time I did it, I was there, and the peace was so tranquil and so peaceful and majestic and unknowing. It wasn't a specific person that walked up to me, but it was like they were translating to me, you can stay here if you want, but if you go back, it's going to be very hard. And I thought of Elizabeth right away. I was like, we haven't even been married 1 year. I'm just starting over, with this relationship, and this is a great marriage. And I thought, she's so young, she would be distraught, probably hurt, heartbroken. So I said, no, I'm going to go back. But during this process, I got this understanding, like if I stayed there, it was just so easy to just transition right into whatever that was, and I would be at total peace for eternity, and I wouldn't have any pain, any worries, any issues. It was an easy decision to stay. I chose the harder decision to come back. And when I came back, I was back in my body, and I actually tried to go back again, couldn't get there. But that knowing of that peace and that transitional force with that energetic divine, whatever it was, I just felt like when you die, you're just moving from one density to another, and where you're going, this movement or this transition, it's instantaneous, and there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a natural process. It's the next part of your journey. And I just felt like a certain level of peace just knowing that.
Yeah. I think if you're good, that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a great documentary that I like a lot called After Death. And people wanted me to do a documentary, and I'm like, what else have you done after death? Right after Tana's mother died.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In March of last year. And I said, Tana, watch this with me. It was very healing. It was about near-death experiences, but 23% of them are bad.
Oh, no.
And it tends to go with people that are not doing the right things with their life.
Oh, wow.
So at least for you, you can go, have confidence.
Yeah.
And the people who portrayed you, maybe there's a little retribution. So maybe you can take some peace in some of the retribution. Either way, I always remember this rule. It's called the 18-40-60 rule. It says when you're 18, you worry about what everybody's thinking of you.
Yeah.
And when you're 40, you don't give a damn what anybody else thinks of you. And when you're 60, you realize nobody has been thinking about you at all. And even though both you and I are public figures, they're not thinking about us. Right. They may have this fleeting moment of thinking about us, but I would just, and then, just remember Robert Downey Jr., right? He went from jail and worldwide shame to Iron Man.
To Iron Man, yeah. True.
Mel Gibson was just on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he talked about our work together, how he was, when I first saw him, he was in his animal brain, and he'd done bad things, right? Worldwide shame, but healed his brain, and now he's doing the work he wants to do.
Yeah.
And he lost his house, and he's going to be okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah,
you are going to be okay. And when you get triggered, I want you to just haven or do this.
Yeah, probably do
and go into it. Don't avoid it. People avoid pain, and then they drink to deal with it. Or they use drugs, like your dad did, to deal with it. It's like, no, you're vulnerable to that stuff. You need to see that stuff as poison.
Yeah.
Right? You saw it steal people's lives.
I did.
And so it's like, no, I'm going to do havening. Or I'm going to go do EMDR.
Yeah.
Find you somebody in Florida to do that. It's not a bad thing to do. I think it's a really powerful.
Yeah, I'll try. Listen, I'm a person that will try anything. Anything that's going to help with healing and help take me to the next level and deal with trauma.
Yeah, and then sharing it like you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do. You experience things, you're curious, you ask questions, and they're always going to be haters.
Yeah.
And, the best thing I did for myself, so I was part of the American Psychiatric Association. I have the highest award they give their members. Yeah. I stopped going because most of my haters were there.
Right.
And I'm and this year they made me an APA thought leader.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I don't read comments online.
Wow.
I have a team.
Yeah.
They read and they respond. And,
yeah.
Most people love me. Most people love you.
Yeah.
And there's going to be haters.
Right.
And let them hate. And you know Aikido? You like martial arts,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So Aikido is different than karate. Karate is you hurt them.
Yeah.
Aikido, you take their energy and you just
use their energy. You use their energy.
Use their energy. And I'd let that go by.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, I'm taking that advice. Just getting more and more away from looking at comments, responding to comments, and having people do that for us.
And even Elizabeth, I wouldn't do that. And if there's something serious, of course, you have to report it to the FBI.
Right.
But, most of them are keyboard cowards.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. True.
you're going to live a long time.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate this, man. It's just, just having this conversation just feels so healing. I just feel like I was able to get something off my chest and get this information out and to just be true to myself. And
sometimes we get full of ourselves.
well, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can get full of yourself.
Carl Jung called it our shadow selves, and you were so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Your shadow came out. And then the technique I did with you is called bridging. It's like whenever you get triggered, okay, what am I thinking and feeling? When's the very first time I ever thought that?
I'm going to use that.
And then when you bridge, then take your good adult self and go soothe the child.
Yeah, that's
and
the
it's
connection.
like, get your good adult parent and go, that was really wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody should be throwing a 9-year-old out in the street.
Right.
You're amazing. You're a superhero because you created something amazing out of your life. And so take your adult self and reparent that 9-year-old who's still hurt.
Still hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one of many other hurts from back then I have to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was talking to a friend today. It's like if you go back in your life, would you do different things? Absolutely, I would. But then I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So-
You alter the future. You change your outcome.
Yeah. So I think I'm keeping it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll keep it too.
Yeah.
I'll just work on it. Thank you so much, Dr. Amen. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Billy.
Yeah, this is great. Well, another episode of Forbidden Knowledge where I come to sit with the master, an incredible human being, Dr. Amen, who has an amazing company, the Amen Clinics. How many clinics do you have?
11.
11 clinics. Wow. And they're all in the U.S. or are they international?
So far, I think
Okay.
we're going to do our first clinic in Europe.
Oh, wow. I highly recommend Dr. Daniel Amen's clinics. Make sure you go and visit a clinic near you if you can. His work is incredible. He gave me a SPECT scan about 3 years ago and helped me heal a brain injury, which was messing with my navigation. And now, taking his protocols, about a year later, I was healed, and I still have my navigation, so I don't get lost in my house, I don't get lost in my neighborhood, or lost driving anymore. All on top of that, just for any kind of psychiatric help, if you need any help at all, make sure you seek out amenclinics.com. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Billy.
All right. Watch this video for free at www.4bk.tv or download the app on your smartphone, Fire Stick app, Samsung TV, Roku, and other app providers.